So I just got off the phone with a client that just used my coaching services to go over his bathroom renovation. So behind me here, this is his bathroom that he tore out, and he had some questions about how to go about making a curbless shower and the toweling process, and a lot of common questions that I get. So this video is going to go through his questions on what he was asking and some of the things that I helped him out with. And I just want to let you know that I am providing these services. So if you have any questions of your own, you can schedule a call. We can do FaceTime or Zoom. And then, hopefully having a pair of eyes on what you're doing can help you strategize and get things done efficiently. And that's really what this channel is about. So thanks so much. Leave a comment below if you have any questions as well. But let me know how this format works for you, if it makes sense, because I want to do more of these, and really having these questions and being able to be in your space and seeing what's going on is really valuable for me as a teacher. And hopefully I can pass on a lot of this information that makes it easy. There's no reason to do things the hard way. So let's get into it. Okay, so now you got support right in that corner where you need it. And now you won't have any issues with supporting your shower pan. You know what, and honestly, I'm just going to keep this away from this drain because you really need a 6.5-inch hole around this drain. So that's 3 1/4. So I'm going to be interfering with my drain. So I'll just notch this down a little bit because I don't want to have a problem with the hub of my drain. Ahead and set this in. Okay, so that makes it all nice and flush. And then what we'll do is we'll be running the weedy subliner 4 inches over this joint. But for today, we're just going to end it here because I don't have time to work on the rest. So. And what we'll do is glue this pipe. Make sure we got glue on this. I want to just make sure that this is plumb. That works. 6 inches. Put a scrap piece of plywood down. This will make sure that when I basically have my pipe come up, I'm exactly where it's centered. So that's going to be basically the center of where our drain is. So this is basically just a template to make sure that we have our drain exactly where we need it to be. So that what this will allow me to do is to get this pipe
directly where I need it. You put this in. Just make sure it stays level, the trap arm, so that the riser pipe will stay plumb. So if you put a level on that, that'll make sure that that riser pipe stays straight. Just hold that for a couple seconds while that sets up. So this is not ideal, as I was mentioning, but if you have to, this is the better way to go about making it a 2-inch riser pipe, is to do it on the vertical entity above the trap. So we're basically going to try to make this almost fitting the fitting, and then this will connect to our shower pan. Again, ideally, it's best to have 2-inch all the way to the main waste stack. A lot of areas are not going to meet code doing this, but all intents and purposes, this is going to function completely fine. It's just some areas won't meet code. So I'm going to have a little short piece, connect this to. Honestly, we're going to make it fitting to fitting so that we can have as much of that riser pipe and it doesn't interfere with the bottom of the shower pan. And we'll get a riser pipe that just extends out of the floor, and we'll cut that after the pan is in. Okay, so we'll just get a 2-inch riser pipe coming out of the floor. And this is just going to be kind of wild, not too far out, probably about 1 inch out of the floor. And then we'll cut this down after we get the pan in. So this tile is going to meet up pretty nicely with this because of the thickness of it. But if it was thinner, you would have to add a little bit of thin set underneath this where it meets your outside floor. But the way this is, the way this thickness is going to work, we don't really have to do any build up, which is kind of nice. And then we can start working on the walls. I always recommend doing the back wall first. Main reason is so you can hide that grout joint. You don't have to be as accurate with your cuts. You know, because if you put these side walls on first and in this tile, then you can just see straight down that grout joint, and that could be problematic trying to make that perfect against her. So if you put this one on first, this one covers over it. It's a lot harder to see. Let's put a little spacer there. And then we're just making sure that we're paying attention to our plumbness here. This is just proud of my niche, which is good. Okay, so this is a good time to end the day with this. So just get some thin set into your groove here, and then you can just slide your Rondeck into place. That'll make sure that holds it. Just make sure that you wipe any excess off of the back. So we'll just get a fair amount on the back of this. So we'll just ooze this out after. So you just push this down until it's nice and even. You want to make sure that you don't feel any lip there, because water can sit against that channel. on the back on the side of this one to get this bumped out. So very simple design. You know, honestly, if you keep it simple, it makes it go fairly quickly. So, you know, and honestly, you're always just putting soap bottles in front of this anyway. So, you know, I'm not sure if, you know, I always do mosaics back here, but I really kind of like the plank tile. I think it's nice and simple, clean, easy to clean. You got a full solid surface on the bottom. You know, really, it's going to be a great little niche for holding stuff. What's important about doing this wall is making sure that it comes outside of your shower pan area, because you need some room for your door channel that goes down. So the sliding doors are going to have a channel. I always recommend you just go out a couple inches out past your actual shower floor. And plus my waterproofing's already out here as well, so it'll work out fairly well. So now we're going to be edging, because this stuff doesn't have any bull nose, we're going to be edging it with just a piece of pencil trim. And this will just go directly right on the outside. Okay, so the best way to go about this is to just reference how thick your tile is, and then try to reference that on your actual drill bit. Now you want to be really delicate with this. I'm just going to mark it, but I already kind of have the paint worn off on this bit as far as I want to go. So you just want to pay attention to, when you're drilling through this, to just allow it to go through the tile but not penetrate down into that waterproofing. So when you're, just be careful about how much pressure you're putting on it. Again, you're just trying to get through the tile layer without penetrating. Now you do have thin set under there, so as soon as you puncture through, it shouldn't grab it or bring it down. It's just going to cut through the tile itself. Yep, there you go. So that just kind of popped through, but I didn't puncture down into the waterproofing. I have some epoxy, some Gorilla Glue epoxy. So I'm going to use this to put into my holes. This is going to help ensure, because basically once I put some screws into this epoxy, into this hole, it's going to really grab in. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to mix some epoxy, and then I'm going to use some plugs. You can use the plugs that it comes with as well, but I actually just like to use these guys. These kinds have a tapered edge at the bottom. These are made by Klein. They're just 1/4 inch, basically plug anchors, but I kind of liked how they're tapered. They're kind of more held together than the ones that these come with. Okay, so we're going to get some epoxy out here. Okay, so I'll just put a bunch in that hole. So then we'll go ahead and put our plugs into that epoxy. Okay, so you just get them in as much as they will go, and then you can just cut out the rest of it off the top. And then just the way this one lined up, I just go straight up against my edging here. I don't really have to reference a mark. So I'm just going to cut it with a pair of linesmans. Maybe. If not, you can use a grinder. So got the screw. Okay, so I'm going to take this and just screw it into place here. All right. So again, that's just, you know, I'm going to put a silicone joint on here after I'm finished here on the outside. You know, and then on the inside here underneath of this track. But, you know, that silicone that's basically holding it onto the floor is what's really going to be holding this together.